Hello and welcome to Album Club. This is our first show that we're recording for YouTube, so bear with us as we kind of get used to it.
Be a bit shabby.
It probably will be. I'm Ben. I chose the album for this week, and we've also got, well, if everyone else would like to introduce themselves.
No,
I'm Dylan. Hello.
I'm Charlotte. So,
So, you know, you know, you can tell we're not used to this.
No, not in any way.
Yeah.
it's been a while since we've introduced ourselves as part of the show. It
Mm.
feels unnatural.
It's not normally it's just like, oh yeah, I'm here with Charlotte
Yeah.
and,
It
and
made
Chloe
sense with
and
the first one.
yeah. It would,
Now it's
wouldn't
just
it?
not like, oh,
Okay. So
And we
yeah,
still
carry
haven't
on
had
then.
Chloe
Sorry.
introduce herself.
I did try.
So try again.
sorry.
I am Chloe.
There we go. Get the words out.
I did get the words out, I just got talked over.
I'm sorry.
Well,
It's a
anyway,
bad habit of mine.
today we are going to be reviewing, actually our 39th album. We'll explain about
Where did the other
album.
38
We'll
go?
explain about that later. But we are going to be reviewing Homesick by A Day to Remember. And what we'll do is we'll go through the album kind of track by track. And if you're listening, then what we suggest you do is pause the video. We'll let you know when you can listen to the track, and then we'll discuss it. So just before we get into it, we Homesick is A Day to Remember's third album. So it was released in 2009. And A Day to Remember, if you don't know them, they're a band from Florida. They're an interesting blend in terms of style of music. I'd say they've got metalcore elements, but also quite punk pop elements in it. And what that does mean, I find, is their sound, rather weirdly, at the same time, it sounds heavier than some bands, but poppier than some bands as well. So it's a weird mix, but has given them quite a unique sound. So yeah, for the last week we've looked through Homesick. How did everyone find that, generally speaking? Just as a Did you know A Day to Remember beforehand, or?
What I knew of them was the last song on this album,
Someone else go
plus
first.
maybe what I've been forced to listen to.
Okay, Chloe, had you?
Not that I've been forced. You don't ignore me.
I'd heard of them before, but wasn't very familiar with their music generally.
And Dylan, was it pretty
I mean,
new for you as well?
Yeah, I hadn't heard of them before Battle of the Bands that we were doing. Yeah, again,
I wasn't
context to
sure
that.
if we were
That's
mentioning
a
Battle
little
of the
competition we hold on the side.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were mentioning it, so I was like, been forced to listen to what
I mean, we can talk freely. Like, this doesn't have to be professional.
I know,
I think we can
but
also
I
be
just
like
thought it
this.
wouldn't make sense.
I mean, you know what? It's just us talking. It doesn't matter.
It
It's meant to be
is very
casual.
true.
Exactly.
We also
Yeah.
swear. That's something we're not used to as well. We're not allowed to swear on the radio. We're allowed to swear on this though.
Yeah, we should say that we are we are
We've been
normally
following
radio
rules.
presenters.
Yes.
So we all do Album Club used to be a radio show that we did on our uni's radio station, Stag Radio, and we over lockdown, or at least lockdown, the first lockdown this year, we kind of started doing it over Zoom, and just kind of chatting about it. And then when lockdown 2's just come in, we thought, well, how about actually we just post the video onto YouTube, and do it like that. So we're giving it a go. But yeah, we get a lot more freedom now, which we'll see how that goes. Yeah, we don't have to worry about times or anything. Like we can just kind of relax.
What's our aim for views on the first video?
Oh god.
5 views?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that'd be nice.
One
Let's
for
go
each
one.
of us.
Let's go for 5 views.
Plus Tom.
All right. So
Doable.
should we get listening to the first track?
Yeah, let's do
We
it.
shall.
All right. So if you're listening, then probably pause the video now. Listen to the Downfall of Us All, and we'll be back after that. they have Downfall of Us All, the start of Homesick by A Day to Remember. What do we all think as a start to an album? Chloe?
I thought it was a good start. I think it kind of sets the tone quite well for the rest of the album.
I think it's a really representative start. Like in all the like the stuff like that at least I look out for in opening songs, either like the power or the impact of it, or just like how representative it is for the rest of the album. I think like this song is so representative of what's to come, at least in terms of sound and stuff and different elements that they put into the song. It's just so true for the rest of the album, and then also it's really powerful. So I think it's a brilliant start.
Yeah.
Like it really sets it off. Dylan, anything to add or to counter?
Who here has seen Ice Age 3?
Which one's Ice Age 3?
No, it's not. No. What do you mean? Ice Age 3 is terrible, Jess.
Is that the one with the dinosaurs?
That's my girlfriend. But anyway, there's a song in the soundtrack called "Walk the Dinosaur," and the intro to this song is pretty much to me exactly the same, and it throws me off every time. So that's my first note.
Okay, all right.
Ice Age 3 is not the best Ice Age. No, it isn't.
Which one is Ice Age 3?
2's awful, but 1's the best one.
Which one's 3?
3 is the dinosaur one.
I don't know if I saw the dinosaur one.
I don't care. It's awful.
Which was
Okay,
released,
all right.
which was released in 2009 as well.
The same year.
Yeah, after the album.
Coincidence?
Oh!
Coincidence?
I think not.
After the album was released.
Wait. Let me.
We've got some thievery here.
Anyway, so I mean, personally, listening to this band, look, I'll be honest, I did not enjoy it. At this point, like I was
It's one of
struggling.
those.
I was struggling, and it was just sort of like it's just so forgettable. I feel like I was walking to uni, listening to it, and I was just like, the guitar work is just lazy. His voice is just a mishmash of things that have all been done before. Like already, I was just like, I hate this album. I haven't even listened to it yet. In my humble opinion, I thought it was not good. It just, yeah, that's where I stand. The production's okay. There's nothing like nice and crispy about it, but it's not like it doesn't bleed too much. But like it's just mediocre in like pretty much every sense of the word, in my opinion.
All right. And,
You're right, Charlotte.
Well, I
Charlotte,
love
go on.
mediocre. We all know I love mediocre.
Love mediocre.
I thought it was a jam. I was bopping away. What was that? I was going to say something, but I forgot what it was because I was just listening to Dylan. Yes, I've remembered now. So as I said, I didn't know much, and what I did know was like the last song of this album, which I realise now is not a good representation of them as a band, or at least of this album.
Not at all.
But I think that speaks to what this does as an opening song, because I, like what you were saying, I knew what to expect from there on, and it was quite. Would you say accessible start? I don't know.
I mean, it is one of their more popular songs.
In terms of not expecting them,
so
yeah.
It is a more popular song of theirs. It is well known.
Maybe that's why I'm hating on it, because I'm a hipster twat.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go on.
Unrelated to the song, but related to the album.
Yeah.
I know we don't speak about it much, but we used to at the start. This album art is beautiful.
The album art is good though.
It's beautiful.
I got a very good impression from the art.
Well, there's actually been, I've seen quite a couple of things. We did Lifelines by I Prevail.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to. Yeah,
Everyone
I was thinking
said that they just like it. What I Prevail did with Lifelines. They said it's like the kid who says, if a day to remembers the kid who says, "Oh, you can copy my homework, but make sure it doesn't look the same." And everyone's like, "That's what I Prevail did with Lifelines." Anyway, we should move on to the second song. So pause the video now, and you can listen to My Life for Hire. All right, that was My Life for Hire. What do we think of that as it kind of continues the album?
Can barely tell the difference between that and the first song. It's just I should not go first.
I'm
I was
happy
going to
did.
say, I don't know what he's going to say, but I'll agree with Dylan probably.
And
it's still so lazy. There's nothing special about these songs.
I will agree slightly with you on that point. I'm probably the biggest fan of them here. I was slightly disappointed by the start, by the first few songs. I love the Downfall of Us All, and I think kind of the next main song which I knew quite well in the album was Mr. Highway's Thinking About the End, or at least like that I had listened to regularly, and I found it didn't quite live up to what I was hoping for. I found with these songs, I found the more I listened to the album, the more I could pick the songs out, the more I started to enjoy them. But definitely first time listening through, I was like, nothing standing out at all. Chloe, anything to add?
Not one of my favourite songs on the album, I have to be honest. But I have mixed thoughts about it, to be fair.
Anything in particular which made it particularly not your favourite, or?
I don't know, I think it's just the general style of it really, and the feel of it.
Definition of mediocrity.
Yeah.
To be fair, though,
nothing to say.
in
Mediocre. There's nothing that stood out for me about it. It's a bit meh. That's it.
in their defence, though, or in defence of this, or speaking to my own personal taste, I did like this start. Not that it was anything fantastic, but I couldn't tell you what the song was like after it was finished. So
exactly.
we'll say that. But I knew that I enjoyed it at the time, and that's kind of where my bar is. And I would rather that than having all of the bops right at the start, like all of the ones that you came to the album for.
Yeah. Okay.
And then having that thing that we've heard it so many times where things just trail off towards the end. And I have the shortest attention span, so I need like those high up songs near the back, and kind of the not throwaways, not fillers, but that kind of thing. The ones that lean on that side, I need those at the front for me personally. So it's starting good for me.
All right. Well, we'll move on to the third track now. So I'm Made of Wax, Larry, What Are You Made Of? Before we play it, does anyone
It's some weird
does anyone
names.
know? Well, does anyone know where it's from?
No.
Nope.
It's from a film. It's not Ice Age, but it's from Night at the Museum.
Oh.
It's a line from Night at the Museum,
Snazzy.
and I assume it's one of the models saying, "Oh, I'm made of wax," and so
Oh
then
yes, that was Robbie Williams' line.
All right, there you go. All right, we'll be listening to that now. So go and listen to I'm Made of Wax, Larry, What Are You Made Of? All right, that was I'm Made of I'm made of
Good
wax,
job.
Larry, What Are You Made Of? It's yeah. I always was really confused by the song name until I found out that it was from Night at the Museum. I was like, why is it called this?
I'm still confused by it.
It's literally
Like I know
just
it's from there, but
they
why?
literally just like the quote.
Why is it called that?
Apparently they literally just like the quote. So
Oh.
It is quite a big quote.
Not even like
Fair.
Dum Dum Give Me Gum Gum. They like
Okay.
that.
That would have been better.
what do we think of this?
I can hear a delay.
as the third song in the album. I think it's again, like the others near the start. I think it's, the more you listen to it, the more it stands out. But you do have to listen to it a lot.
Yeah, I hear that.
I can see that.
I think I like it more now than I did.
I said this
This
while the
one
song was
actually
on, but
fixes
like,
an
oh
issue
my
I
god,
had
the bass
later on
actually
in the album.
exists. Like, there's actually a bass guitar, but like, the thing is, they had a really cool tone on the bass guitar, but as soon as everything else started playing, it disappeared. You went back to not being able to hear it again. It's like, I don't get modern bands have against the bass guitar,
Yeah.
but like, use it. Like, it genuinely makes you sound better. Why are you hiding it? You know what? I'm actually extremely passionate about this because my music teacher in secondary school, whenever we played in a band, he'd always come in and turn our bass down. And it's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like, we enjoy the sound of the bass guitar, and you know, everyone else does as well. So why are you getting rid of it? I don't understand where it comes from, where people just don't want to have it.
Yeah.
Jeez. It really gets to me.
I mean,
Go on, Charlotte.
not that I can recognise instruments, but every time you mention a part that every time there's a part that I specifically like, you always mention that it's a bass. So bass is fun. We like bass.
Because the sound a bass has, and
Even
the way
normies like me.
the way you have to play a bass differently to a guitar can be hurt. So it just really annoys me getting rid of all the variation in your sound. And that's that's pretty much the crux of it. As someone that plays bass and guitar.
All right, Chloe. Anything else to say about this song, or?
I like it more now that I actually understand the meaning behind it as well.
I think it's worth saying.
Yeah,
So
I'd say it has grown on me though, just generally.
I will say this now because we haven't said it earlier. So the general theme of the album is meant to be, obviously it's called Homesick, so kind of suggests that it's about kind of the band as they're touring, life in the music industry, life as just a band. And I think we've had already in some songs that idea kind of crop up. Downfall of Us All is meant to be about the pressure of writing a song for a music label, and kind of how you need, like, they're always like asking you to get songs out, get songs released. So when you're listening to the songs, do look out for those kind of themes. And I think that a lot of this album was written whilst they were touring. So hence kind of the Homesick kind of name. All right, we will go on to track number 4. So if you're listening, then pause the video now and listen to New Jersey Legion Iced Tea. That was NJ Legion Iced Tea, and for me, it was finally the moment I was like, oh yes, like it was one of the songs I didn't know before listening to the album, and it was the first one I was really like, oh, I really like this. I'll be listening to it a lot, and not that it did anything necessarily too different from what we've already heard, but it just sounded a bit catchier. I thought the start was really good, having that guitar riff, and it just felt more of a thought out song, and a bit more structured compared to the others, which did end up being a bit messy and blended in together. What did everyone else think?
I think
I didn't have much specific to.
I think at least, and this was in the last song as well, the guitarists are doing their own thing now. Like, it's not just playing the same lazy riff. Like you have a rhythm guitar again, like I said while we listened to it, not doing wonders anyway. but you know, at least you then have a lead guitar who's mm, up in the like higher regions of the guitar, like playing little melodies and riffs, and you know, it's some diversity actually in the song now, which is great. Um, but yeah, bass swallowed back up again. Drummer not doing anything to bring himself out. Like I feel it's disappointing. But yeah, that's just me.
Chloe or Charlotte, anything to add about this one, or just the album in general at this point?
I mean, I have something that I think it more makes sense next song, but I'll say it now because I have
Well,
nothing
no,
really to add.
save it for the
Oh no,
next song.
yeah, it's
then.
fine to
Yeah,
save
save it
things.
for the next
Okay,
song.
well, it's to do with the build up to that song, but
Okay.
I referred to it as being the build up, but
All right. Well,
we
let's
do
save
that for next time. I
do
have
the next
nothing
song.
to add.
Um,
Chloe hasn't
oh yeah,
spoken.
Chloe, do you have anything to say about this one?
Well, I did.
Go on then.
See?
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels a little bit messy to me. Just a bit. I don't know. I'm kind of expecting something more from the album at this point. It's just not quite coming yet. So
Did you get what I mean when there's like no groove? Like it's
Yeah.
just instruments playing and there's no like assortment to it.
Yeah, so I mean by it being a bit messy, it just feels
Yeah.
like it needs a bit more. No, I don't know if clarity is the right word for it.
Mm.
Somewhat, yes. I think clarity's it's kind of almost the right word. I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on to track 5 so that Charlotte can say what she was wanting to say. We are now going to be listening
We're
to
already on track 5.
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
We're now going to listen to Mr. Highway's Thinking About the End. That was Mr. Highway's Thinking About the End. Anyone else thinking about the end at the moment? Dylan? You want to
Yes, at the start. I can't believe this is only the 5th song.
Oh, I was taking that way too literally. I was like, okay, we're getting a bit deep here.
Wow.
So I'm not sure what I should say.
No, I did not mean it like that. No, I meant, is anyone else thinking about the end of the album at this point?
I realised that now. I realised that now.
I enjoyed this one. It's another one of their bigger songs, and you can see why it does stand out from the last at least 3 that we've heard. It's got a bit more. It just not necessarily structure to it, but there's a bit more thought gone into it. There's like different segments. We get a nice build up. There's the nice kind of come down at the end where it just fades out quite slowly, and obviously the more relaxed end. It just shows us some different stuff going on, which has been lacking from the start of the album.
Yeah.
Chloe.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
definitely
go on,
more I don't know if dynamic is the right term. I think I used the term dynamic for like 3 different things, but there's a lot more going on, and it's weaving between a lot more sections, which is definitely refreshing. But I started complaining pretty much immediately when the song came on. It's like there's just so much wasted potential. Like I would like to ask bands like this who their influences are or who they're trying to mimic with certain parts, because I feel it doesn't feel like there's love and passion going into this music. It's so, I mean, like you said, Bennett, like they could have written so quickly.
Yeah, I made a point that whilst we were listening to that song, that it seems that from what I was reading, a lot of the songs were written, say, in the space of a couple of days. Like they would come up with the idea for the song, it would be written, recorded, and done. Not saying the album was. I don't know if that meant the album itself was rushed, but just for lots of the songs, because obviously some songs they took a while over. Like if it means a lot to you, took something like a year to produce or to come up from idea to recording, whereas some like took 2 days.
Oh yeah, you get bands with it's like the song "No One Knows" by Queens of the Stone Age. I know you will know that song. Like, I think Josh Homme he came up with the idea of the song pre-first Queens of the Stone Age album, so before 1998, and he only properly finished it in 2002.
Wow.
Like that's the sort
That's
of
the slow burn.
that is a slow burn for sure. But like, look at the result that came out of it. Like there's no passion that could possibly have gone into music like this with this sound. I feel it's lazy, so lazy.
So we'll go into so Charlotte, was this the
We're waiting.
Come on, your big moment.
I've hyped it up too much now.
Mhm.
Okay, so it kind of links into what we were saying about how this one feels kind of different to the others.
Yep.
We agree we were saying that, right? I didn't just make that up. Yeah. Like this one took me by surprise, and in a kind of a way that I wasn't loving. But I do like this song, just to clarify.
Okay.
And it came from how I wasn't expecting how it sounded at the start with like it felt a lot heavier and it felt like I was hearing that kind of screaming-ish a bit more. Which I like when I'm expecting, but I just wasn't expecting it. So listening to it a second, third time, I like. But listening to it this time round, I've only just started to notice that was already in some of the songs that were coming in. And so I was like, well, clearly they're trying to, I don't know, like lead into this, it felt. And I was like, in that way, that kind of feels maybe successful in terms of flow. But then I realised if I didn't notice it my first listen through, how successful is it really if that's trying to prepare me for this? And yeah, I think maybe it came into not knowing what they sounded like coming into this, and maybe if I'd listened to the first and second album, then that wouldn't have taken me as so.
Yeah,
surprised.
or knowing more songs than if it means a lot to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was my grand point.
Okay.
I was surprised.
All right, Chloe, anything to add?
I'm not really sure I can follow that up, really.
Because it was such a great point.
All right, we'll let you have
I've got my big brain on here.
We'll let you have that one, Charlotte.
Thank
we're going to
you.
go into track number 6. So just listen to Have Faith in Me. I'll make a point about so obviously the start of the song was a bit softer and did feel like it could be something different, but it kind of disappointed me because then at the end of the song it just felt like we were back to square one and everything was just the same again. And it would have been really nice if there was some variation at this point, whether it was in the form of a break song or where we kind of chill things down for a bit and relax the tone, which they almost suggested they were going to do with the intro. And yeah, so I found this song really kind of a disappointing moment in the album for me, because I thought it was a chance to, all right, whilst the start was maybe not the clearest, there was a sound to it. It was the hard-hitting, heavier songs, a lot going in, like, and then I thought, all right, maybe now that we're moving on a bit, there'll be some variation, and it just didn't quite feel like they'd fully committed to trying to change anything. It was almost like at the start, okay, let's try and be a bit softer, and then by the end of it, that had just gone out the window. Anyone else notice that? Charlotte, as the master of break songs?
Don't make me have to admit that I missed that because I was going for a wee.
The break keeper has messed up.
I know I've listened to it twice before, but I can't remember it, and yeah, I missed the intro.
It
so
probably says
I have
enough.
nothing to add.
I mean, you could
except
listen to
for
it in the
my-
background.
But yeah, truly.
Dylan, anything to say?
Again, like the last one, there's a lot more section songs that they're going through, and they're trying to diversify their sound. Again, you can hear the bass guitar in this song sometimes, and I could hear maybe a bit of a Metallica influence in this song probably more than the others. I mean, that might just be me though, just because I know Metallica.
Yeah.
But yeah, same issues. It all bleeds together too much. Like I can appreciate they tried to make this song different, but it didn't quite get there enough. I think it's too little, to be honest, with them trying to expand upon each of their songs. So yeah, still a bit disappointed.
Yeah. I think that was pretty much how I felt. Chloe, anything else?
I kind of feel a bit disappointed with this song. Like, I thought it was going to be like a bit of a softer song and things at the start, and I was like, okay, I'm ready for a break song here, this is good. And then it just kind of decided not to be.
Yep.
So I was a bit like, oh, okay, we're back to this again. And it's kind of like, I feel like I was ready for a break at that point. It just didn't fulfill that promise at all.
Yeah. And that's not saying albums necessarily need break songs, but
No.
there is a purpose for them.
Yeah, I just feel like perhaps as someone who, like, this isn't generally the kind of music I listen to as much, I was just ready for something a little bit softer and just to see what they do with it, kind of thing. And then it was just kind of like, they just changed their mind with this one, like halfway through, and it's like, oh, okay, we're back to the heavy stuff.
I think you have to commit. You have to decide, I'm doing this in this song. We've come across that in albums before. Even if you commit and get it wrong, at least you've kind of gone for it and you've really shown that you're going for something.
Yeah, like credit can be given to that.
But if you kind of do a half-assed attempt, then
just a very frustrating song.
Well, we're going to move on to the next one. Welcome to the Family, track 7 on Homesick. And what are we thinking here? So we're into the second half of the album. I think at this point it's the same as it'll be the same stuff we've said before. It's got some interesting bits, but ultimately falls into the same vein where it doesn't fully distinguish itself. That's my take on it, at least.
You were saying something interesting. I couldn't even tell you what we were saying whilst it was playing about their style of music.
Just generally their style of it. Yeah, I can repeat that. I thought
it was interesting. I think you should say.
I already said it kind of at the start of the show, saying what blend they are.
True.
But we were talking about that a bit more. So it's this blend of metalcore and pop punk, which has the dual effect of at one time seeming heavier and at the same time feeling poppier as well. And we're just kind of saying, like, Charlotte kind of said, like, well, does that appeal or does it put off? Because, like, again, like, maybe people who are heavier minded are put off by it, and then people who are poppier minded, it's still too heavy. But it works for them. They're quite a big band now. And say they're, like, this year I think they're second on the Download main stage, and it works. Like, I do enjoy their sound. It is quite unique.
Is it?
It is, yeah. I don't have many other bands who do this combination of being this heavy but also quite accessible at the same time.
What age do you think their target audience is? As a general question.
I would say teen to 20s.
I probably wouldn't even say 20s.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. Look.
Sorry, I disconnected from her.
That's alright.
I don't know what.
At first I thought the issue was you, and then I was like, oh, it's me.
Don't even make this music for themselves. Like, just judging by the sound of it and, like, the just lame attempts to do things. Well, first of all, it tells me they didn't have a good producer. Secondly, I'm just thinking maybe they're just literally sellouts from the start. I don't know. Honestly. Because what could it be this samey and this half-assed and appeal to people who actually, like, like music?
But I've said this already. As a fan of the band, this album I think holds up much better. Like for someone
That's
who
not. That doesn't say a lot of good for the rest of them, does it?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, it's not as like if you do like the music though. I did personally, I like really enjoyed the album, and obviously when we get to ratings, there's the distinction between preference and the actual rating. But so like for preference wise, like this was actually really enjoyable. I found, whilst there's like some flaws of it in terms of an album. I don't have anything against there's nothing wrong with the actual music style, and as I say, I do like their kind of composition as a band, and the sound they create.
But nothing. There's nothing done with it. Like the style that you're talking about. Like, fine if that's all that keeps you here, but like, how much more could be done with that? It's like with what's it? My Chemical Romance. It's like I'm not into that type of music, but that album, the Black Parade, like can keep me entertained because they really try things and they take risks with their songs.
Yeah.
There's no risks with any of these songs and it's lame.
No, and that's
It's
what I keep
awful.
saying though. As a if you're looking at it as an album, I don't think it holds up that well. If you're just doing it for the music and you already enjoy the band and stuff, then it's fine. Because you like the songs are enjoyable, they are what the band is, and whilst they don't really push any boundaries in the album in sense of going anywhere with a theme or a sound or experimenting in their songs, like at least it's just a kind of almost like a filler for their for like having lots of songs of theirs that you can listen to.
I just can't find any worthwhile reason to listen to this.
Chloe or Charlotte, anything?
If you have basic music taste like me, you might like it. I admit to liking mediocre, so I'm not offended. I think they're decent. This is probably the heaviest song on there, right? Yeah. I've already
hard to say, but you probably could argue it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Personally, like we said before, I'm more of a break song kind of person, especially in like this kind of music genre. But it good. I'm vibing,
Alright.
much to Dylan's dismay. I am literally the person that he is referring to when he's saying, "Who would like this?" It me.
Chloe, anything to add before we move on to the title track?
It's not my usual type of music. It's a bit heavy for me, but I don't know. It's just another one of those tracks that seems to know what it wants to be.
Yeah.
Like, does it want to be poppy? Does it want to be quite heavy rock? Doesn't know.
No, I think that's a fair summary. All right, we'll move on to the title track, which is Homesick. All right, we've just listened to Homesick, the title track for the album. Charlotte, you've always got your little vendetta against title
Oh, I
tracks.
love a title track.
But how did this one hold up?
As a song, not being a title track, I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not my favorite. I have a few issues with it. I think
Okay.
it sounds, as someone who has a very basic taste, I think it is incredibly basic at times. And I think it's almost that slight variation makes the chorus sound so basic.
Yeah, so the chorus lyrics obviously are quite simple. Like, tell mum I wrote her some soft songs. Tell dad that
They
I'm
are
fine.
cute.
They're nice, but I think
It's
I know
just
what
the
you mean.
sound of it. It's not like the actual lyrics. It's
yeah.
it just the way it sounds is just incredibly
Well, it's the sound
basic.
combined with the lyrics, which makes it that
Yeah,
really almost
no, I guess
naive sound. But I'm gonna.
I think this would have been really nice as a break song, like in terms of
Could it have sounded
themes
even
and
cheesier
lyrically. It could have. There's always that chance. But anyway, getting on to what you actually asked, as a what's it called?
title track.
Title track, yeah. I don't know. Title tracks just raise my expectations of the song so much, and this just isn't worthy of it at all. Let's have a night at the museum quote for it. May as well do that.
I'm going to counter that though. I actually enjoyed this as the title track.
Ew.
I, I can't actually think of a title track that we've listened to recently where it hasn't. I don't think this disappointed. Whereas some do, like Rituals did.
I
And
like Ritual.
yeah, but I don't think it lived up to it. Whereas this didn't seem to. I don't know. This one just didn't seem to disappoint me too much, and I think because it had a bit of a different sound to it, that it felt more justified as being the title track. Say it had the exact same sound as some of the others we've been listening to, then it would have just been oh, why was this the title track? Whereas at least I found with this one there's some distinctive features.
I will give it a merit actually, and that is, even though I didn't like the title track as per se, I do think the name works for the album, as in kind of a summation of the theme.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I agree with that.
I just dislike title tracks.
Chloe and Dylan, anything to say?
Chloe, go first.
I agree with what's been said so far. Like, I'm not sure about it as a song, but I think the title works for the album quite well. So I think it summarises quite well what they're trying to get across, even if at times it's a bit muddled within the songs.
And Dylan?
I will say that I feel that song's probably the most pleasing to the ears. Like, I think, well, the guitars are like marginally softer in that song as well to go with his softer voice, which I think worked way better than the repetitive heavy guitars we've had previously and his softer voice together. I just feel the blend in this song is a lot more appealing. As a title track, I don't have any bias towards them having to be better, but if like this as the track were a concept what album could have been, I feel that could have been a better album than what we have. I feel that album, that track showed a lot of promise which is not present for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Personally.
That's quite good. No, I get what you mean. Like it is quite distinctive. Sorry, not distinctive, but it does set itself out as something a bit different, which we don't really see too much of in the rest of it. We are probably going to listen to the next two together. So
join us.
Yes, so join us. Pause the video and play back to back. As in, the song's not called back to back. Play these two songs back to back. Holding It Down for the Underground and You Already Know What You Are. All right, Holding It Down for the Underground and You Know What You Are. I'm going to lead, as I have been anyway, but I really want to lead on this one because, well, not so much you already know what you are, but Holding It Down for the Underground I think is so good.
So good, I listened to it twice there.
I think it's all the stuff which we've kind of been mentioning and stuff, like the bits where it's been wrong. I think Holding It Down for the Underground sorts that out. I think it's a really well structured song. It seems more thought through. It's got its little sections where it does what it wants to do. We've got some nice instrumentation. We've got the screaming, but it's in its segments, like it's in the verses. It's got a good hard hitting chorus. It's got some build. It's got some of the shouting as well, like the backdrop shouting. Like it just seems like all the stuff they've been trying to do in all the other songs where it's just been a blur and a mess, they've kind of sectioned out in this song. And for me, this was just like, I didn't know it beforehand. but I just loved it, and it really kind of yeah, like not just as a fan, I loved it, but kind of I think it is one of the better songs in the album, where they finally kind of sort their ideas out, and obviously that does not make up for the rest of the album, but I think it's just a much better example of probably what the rest of the album should have sounded like. And then you already know what you are. Kind of built like it's short, it's sweet, it's quite loud. It kind of flows on from the last one. I don't have much to say about it. What did everyone else think?
Oh wait, no, I thought you were talking about the short one.
No,
When I said that I
no.
enjoyed it so much I listened to it twice. I really can't remember holding it down for the underground because
Because you didn't listen to it.
I did a whoopsie. I have listened to it before, but no. But I really enjoyed
The short one.
You Already Know What You Are, the short one, because fun. And I thought points you made about the other one were points to this one, so I think that holds out too. Yes.
Right.
Okay, cool.
My brain is just frazzled right now. Brain
Um,
has left the chat.
all right. Chloe?
I really liked Holding It Down for the Underground. I thought it was a really good song. I felt quite like well connected things. It felt like it was well put together, unlike some of the other songs. Like it knew what it was supposed to be. It had that sense of identity. And it's just a good song to listen to overall. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, Dylan. Do you think it's sorted out some stuff, or at least did you think it sounded a bit clearer, or did it not do much?
Look, here's my issue with Holding It Down for the Underground is I feel his vocal performance it's probably a highlight in this song when he's singing, not screaming or growling, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Then he switches straight back to growling. It's like, okay, well, everything you've just established is gone. But like, I feel the choruses where it's like a really uplifting performance with his singing voice is great. But then he for some reason in such a rush to switch back.
Yeah.
There's no development. It's just like I'm laying these foundations now. Fuck off. It's really frustrating for me to listen to. I've honestly stopped caring about the instrumentation. I'm mostly it's just, there's no hope for that.
I do
But
like it when albums make you angry.
I
Not
just
gonna
don't
lie,
get
it's
the
funny.
thought process. Because this is all 40 minutes long. It's like, how many hours do you think? Well, it should have taken them to do 40 hours, and in none of that did they think, hang on. To whoever came up with this idea, I think it could have done better. Who's the lead songwriter in this band? Is there one specifically?
I'm not sure. It probably is the lead singer.
Okay.
So Jeff.
Okay, that
Sorry, not
makes
Jeff.
sense to
Jeremy.
me because his performance is probably the most varied. It's not that varied, but most of the development going on is through the singing. And like I said, the instrumentation I feel is just hopeless. I can't get a gauge of the writing process they would have had because it's just pumped out. I genuinely think this is just get it out there. Yeah, you know how frustrated I am with albums like this. Yeah, move on from me because I'm sick of talking.
All right. Well, we've got 2 more songs to get through before we get on to ratings and stuff.
2 more songs before Dylan is free.
Yeah, exactly. We will now do another song about the weekend. So.
What was the first song about the weekend? Sorry.
Wow.
That was
Wait,
terrible.
you know what
That
else is
was
funny?
terrible.
This is the first episode we're doing, and I'm coming off as the fattest snob.
Didn't you in the first
episode
one
we're
we
doing,
did
I'm coming off as
anyway?
such an arsehole.
All right. Well, pause the video
Try
now
again.
and listen to another song about the weekend. All right, that was another song about the weekend. So the second last song. And before I open it up to everyone else, I'll just say say my thoughts. At this point, I do want the last song. This song, the only it didn't do much for me. The things I found annoying about the album seemed to come out in this song. Like after we just said holding it down for the underground, there was like some good singing, some good structure. This kind of, I don't know, for me it just lost it again. I thought the singing sounded a bit not a bit drony almost. And like I don't know, it just, for me it came across in a bad way. I thought the only redeeming kind of factor was the lyrics kind of link up with the next song. So because he's talking about driving home and stuff, and then if it means a lot for you, he talks about like just wait for me and stuff. So I kind of like that it makes kind of like sense of its positioning in the album, but aside from that I don't think it does much.
It is probably my least favourite on the album. It does get me very excited for the last song though.
Because just the desperation for the last song, or
Oh, not because it's the last song. I also know that I like the last song. I know that there's only one song left.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm ready for it. And also what I was saying before about short attention span, like having a song that I'm not particularly a fan of right at the end.
Yeah.
Or penultimate. Was that a big word? Did I use a big word?
Yeah, big words.
Yeah. Sorry, I had a big brain moment and then I
Followed
lost
it
track
up
of
with a
myself.
small brain moment.
Tiny brain.
Chloe, anything to say?
I don't know. I feel like it kind of feels like the album's starting to wind down at this point in a way, which is it's good because I suppose we only got kind of like one song to
Well,
go.
yeah, kind of. Yeah. All right.
Do we even want to?
No, we're just Dylan. Anything else?
I don't even remember the song, what it sounded like.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good.
To be honest with you.
Sum up. Yeah, I think unfortunately, like,
Moving on.
yeah, as I say, probably going back to
Forgotten already.
the only thing which I ever found redeeming in it was that it kind of linked lyrically to the next song.
I remember laughing at it. It has comedic value.
Yeah. I do think I almost agree with you. Like the first lyric is like, oh, they keep
Right.
playing like sad songs on the radio or something, and it's like, oof, like it just didn't sound good. Like,
Yeah.
all right, well, if you're still watching, and if you know the song coming up, then kind of it's almost like a little reward for getting this far.
You deserve it.
You do deserve it. It's so we're gonna
First episode.
Woo!
Yeah. We're going to now listen to If It Means a Lot to You. So pause the video and give it a listen as well. They have If It Means a Lot to You, which is
Radio habits.
Radio habits, yes, I know. I'm just going to assume our listeners or our watchers are listening in the background as well. Oh, that is such a good song, and like obviously it is so different to everything we've heard in the album, and it probably doesn't fit. Like the only reason it probably fits is because of the theme it's singing about, but it is such a good song. I mean, the end is more fitting with the rest of the album. Obviously the start, the sound is so different.
The intro, yeah.
It's such a good
My
song.
chair's
I like
squeaky,
it's.
sorry.
It's understandable why this is one of pretty much their biggest song. It's hugely popular, like not even just for fans of the band, just outside of that as well. And it's just so good. Like it does, not necessarily this album, but it does finish an album really well. I find it's like such a great outro song. And yeah, I can't fault this song. I love it.
Okay.
Go on,
This
Dylan.
is-
Dylan, destroy
Oh,
it
sorry.
now.
No. Like I said during it, there's some really nice moments. It's a bit shabby, with some of the ideas put into it in the end, but like this probably fits with the the one song that I was like, yeah, more of that.
More of Homesick.
Homesick.
Yeah.
Like I feel this song and Homesick,
The could
like
the
you
could
have
have
the
beens.
ideas for like a better album
Mm.
in there. But it's a much better song. There's nice melodies. There's nice harmonies going on at the end. Actually, that quite surprised me with the layering of voices and all that stuff. Um, the beginning, the intro of the song is really nice. Like already, I was like, oh my God.
Mm.
I wasn't like expecting it at all. It doesn't fit on the album. And I think Charlotte said that. It is out of left field. Like who would have ever assumed this comes from the same place as the rest of the songs? But yeah, solid track. I think. Yeah, overall.
Very good. I have nothing to add, but I will say something, and this is no disrespect to this song because this is very high praise for me. I can imagine this song being used in a rom-com at like the climax of it. It's just that vibe, and it does fill me with a little bit of warmth. That I do love a good cheesy rom-com climax moment. So yeah.
Yeah, I
What's your
completely
favourite
get what you
rom-com?
mean there.
What's my favourite? I don't
What's
watch them
Chloe's
to
fa-
pick
What's
favourites.
Chloe's favorite?
Oh, probably one of the Bridget Jones. Probably one of the
Oh,
first
I
ones.
really fancy watching a Bridget Jones now. Yes.
She's just, I think, just 'cause
Just looking
she's
at
not
Ben's face.
typical-
Like what's happened?
Oh, I was looking at other stuff.
She's just not the typical main
I was just
character
reading
for a
about
rom-com.
yeah.
That's fabulous.
I've never seen Bridget Jones.
We should have a Bridget Jones movie night.
We could.
There's
or we
three
could-
of them,
or we
isn't
could
there?
It's
not.
on Netflix. We can have like one of those
It is
watch
on Netflix.
parties.
Ben, I'll
Yeah,
do
there's
it
three
if you
of
do.
them.
We should. Yeah, come on,
The
Ben.
second one is the best in my
Come on,
opinion.
Come on, Ben.
Oh, my God.
People
I
argue
will
that it's
go
a
for
Christmas film,
social
and it
distance
really
to
bothers me.
walk and convince you to watch it.
It really
Alright,
bothers me
alright,
that
right,
people
right.
consider it a Christmas film. It's really
Right,
not.
order.
It just
right.
starts and ends at Christmas.
Oh, Love Actually, though. That's a good one.
Love
I
Actually,
can't
I
have
will
never seen
accept.
Love Actually.
Yeah, fair enough.
We're
fair enough.
going slightly off topic. Let's try and bring it back. Does anybody else have anything to say about If It Means a Lot to You, or just kind of the end of the
Bridget
album?
Jones.
It's a
I would
good
say about
album.
Bridget Jones.
It's a really good song. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, at least it has a strong finish.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's summarising it pretty sweetly. All right.
My
Well,
speciality.
sorry.
Instead of summarising it sweetly, I was saying that's my speciality.
Speciality.
All right. Well, before we go on to before we go on to ratings, I will just say, like, obviously I was saying how much I liked it, but I do think it is a good end to an album as well. Like, as I said, not necessarily this album, but
Yeah,
it is
an
a good
album in
end.
general. To be fair, I think it would fit if they just changed the intro of that song a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah.
because it is the acoustic start that makes it feel weird in this album.
I do agree with what Dylan said. Like
Yeah.
the sound that they explored in Homesick and If It Means a Lot to You, and maybe if they've got the structure of the clarity of holding it down for the underground in a few of the other songs, that would have really helped. All right, let's go on to ratings. So if you've watched our kind of About Album Club video, then you'll know kind of
That
how
hasn't
we do.
been
That
done
hasn't
yet.
been recorded
Yeah, it
yet.
doesn't
but
exist
It
yet,
doesn't
but it
exist
will.
yet, but it will be. Then you'll know that our rating system, we do a score out of 10, which is trying to remove kind of personal bias, and is just about the album, and then we do a preference list to say how much we enjoyed the album.
But let's face it, bias.
It still happens,
Bias.
but
It does happen.
you try to put it aside.
Yeah,
At least you can still have bias, but you can't really just say, "Oh, I hated the sound of it." 0. You you still try and
Look,
like,
this is not a 0 album, so
I wasn't atting
yeah.
you there.
No, I know, but like if I were to give a 0, it wouldn't be this album.
Yeah.
What album would it be?
Is that
No,
going to be a
I'm not
feature?
allowed to
Let's
choose
not do an
albums that
episode.
would
Let's
be
Yeah,
good.
let's
not.
not
We're not
have a
doing a full
zero
episode
album.
based on a zero
Yeah,
album.
no, that's not happening.
No. I do
Alright.
have an album that I reckon you would give a 0 though,
Okay, that's good to know.
but we
Time
would never do it here.
time for some scores and also favourite songs, and you can if you can roughly say maybe where it would be on your preference list, like medium, high, low. We'll start with Dylan.
Look, other than like the two Rays of Light, which are the two songs I mentioned, most of it is like just boring, uninspired, samey. Like there wasn't much of a concept from what I could see that went into this album that was of any interest to anyone, from what I could tell. You know, nothing was tried. There was no risk in the album. It was just. I mean, yeah, just quickly done. I feel like I don't feel the love or passion that may or may not have gone into it. I don't know. So, but yeah, like I said, the parts that stand out don't fit at all. It's really, surely that tells you something in my head that like that's what you should be aiming for rather than the main theme. So, I mean, because of all of this and a lot of dodgy performances, I'll say, I'll give it I'll give it a 3 or 4, I think. I'm thinking a 3. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be
I
harsh on.
thought you were going to say a 3.
And
I
roughly,
had that in
are we
my head.
thinking preference list low?
No,
Bottom.
no.
All right.
Would you argue
any
last?
particular
I'm
favourite song?
curious.
Favorite song, probably. I'll say it's the Homesick.
Okay. Now move on to Charlotte.
Hello. Everything Dylan said, but I like, but like, bearing my basicness in mind, like I can, I think that's actually a really interesting point about the passion, because I think I did subconsciously pick up on it. Like, I wasn't really. What's
No one
the
cared about this.
words? Yeah, and I think because of that, I didn't necessarily find myself caring about it as much as I thought I would, based on what I knew. Interesting that what I knew wasn't this album at all, as well. With what we were saying about, is it? I was about to say Day to Remember, but then I realised that's the band, not the song name. If It Means a Lot to You, definitely not representative of the band, but definitely a very fun song.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was saying, so I'll just move on. I think I'll give it a 5. Probably. I think it was. I agree that it was incredibly mediocre and basic. And probably I think touring albums, like you always hear about songs they wrote, like albums that were written on tour, and I think there is a thing in that. I don't know if they just wrote it on tour because they wanted to write it on tour. Yeah, and preference, I did quite enjoy this album. I'd probably say like middle top boundary, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like in between the middle and the top somewhere.
Chloe, you're up next.
Overall, I think as an album, it's quite. I don't know. It's not very well put together. I don't think. Like there's some common themes, but themes within the actual songs change. I think it's a bit of a mismatched album in some ways. That being said, it had a few good songs within it. So yeah, overall, I'd probably only rank it 4. It's a below average album. So favourite song, probably Hold It Down.
Okay.
It's like,
Oh,
it's just,
I forgot favourite
preference
song.
Oh yeah,
is
Charlotte
probably-
got. Oh yeah,
Sorry.
Preference
I'll let
is
Chloe
probably
finish.
quite low.
quite low. Okay.
Yeah, although I'd have to have a look because I do like some of the songs in it.
All right, and then Charlotte, sorry, your favourite song.
Was the Bridget Jones song?
Oh,
I'm calling it
okay,
that now.
sorry,
That's
yeah.
what it is.
That took
Yeah.
me a while to work out what you were on about there. All right. I'm going to finish this up. So I as a fan, I loved it. Because not necessarily the album, but it was quite it was enjoyable enough for a fan, and like I had songs in there which I really enjoyed. The others I didn't care as much about, but like in that sense, it worked absolutely fine. It was like it was kind of it had my attention. I know I enjoy hearing most of those songs live. So preference list, it's really high. I thought it was really cool. As an album though, looking at it in a more unbiased way, not great. Not great. There wasn't enough variety. There wasn't enough. They didn't do anything interesting with the flow of the album. Like the songs had their position. There was some energy, but it didn't really do much in terms of like flow or take you on a journey or anything, like, or notice like the change throughout the album. The theme was just average. Like they kind of had a theme. They kind of talked about it a little bit, but that's about it. And the sound, they didn't really commit to any. Well, they kind of just were in the mid ground with the sound. Like there wasn't any experimentation. Albeit though, the start and the end were really good. They were good songs at that place, and it didn't feel too drawn out or anything. So I put it through my little calculator and it came out 5.5, which does mean it gets rounded up to a 6. And I'm quite happy with giving it a 6. I think it did just enough to show that it had a bit more going on.
We have a 3, a 4, and a 5, and a 6.
There we go. My favourite song was Holding It Down for the Underground. And as I've already said, preference list quite high. There we go. There's our review of Homesick by A Day to Remember. And we will now announce our next album, if Charlotte's ready to do that.
She doesn't remember exactly what it's called and she doesn't want to get it wrong, but it's a Yumiya 6 album. I'll tell you that much. Let me just search for it.
I mean, I think I know the name of it. I can probably tell you it.
You could, but I don't want you to steal. Yeah, it was what I thought it was. Okay, it's drummer. Sinners Never Sleep. Yumi at 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chat with.
Because we spoke about one of the songs in it the other week, and then I listened to it, and I was like, "Yeah, we're doing this."
All right. So we will try and record that next week as our next album. But in the meantime, do watch our other videos. We might start to do some recaps of albums 1 to 38.
Yeah.
Seeing as we have started just like in the middle of all the albums we've done. So we might do some short recaps of those. Well, thank you for listening and watching, and we will be back next week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Toodaloo.